Welcome to another episode of Imagination Station Network with me, James Alexander Gaffney. So, very excited today. We have a very creative guest, but like all the episodes, I need to explain, so I don't really explain too much to the guests before they come on. Richard gave me an outstanding gift. Now, it's not something physical, but he gave me something and it's stuck in my head. Hence why the guests that we have on for the first 5 episodes of the pilot, they've been hand-chosen by me because they've given me a gift that it's right that we give back. So before Richard introduces himself, I just want to say, Richard, from me and the team, thank you very much. I know you don't know what it was you gave us, but you said to me in December there that, you know, the thing you like about what I do is I give away knowledge. You don't know what that's done to me. So me and Richard, I was dressed as an elf, if that helps anybody, at Paxton House, and Richard gave this freely, gave it freely to me. Everyone knows I'm a words man, but that resonated so hard in my mind that we brought the podcast forward by a year to 2 years. There was you and a couple of others that I said to the team, it's an emotional journey, but thank you very much for me and the team, honestly, thank you very much for that. You know, people can go through life and no complimenting how they got there, but this happened because of the words. And believe it, man, like I base myself as being, there's no room in this world for me to lie. Richard's also gifted because the production team have told me to talk less in this one. So I'll hand it over to Richard and get him to introduce himself.
Firstly, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome.
You're so welcome for the compliment. I think it's an important thing. Like a community only grows stronger with a sort of a shared knowledge on things.
100%.
So I am Richard Swan of R.Swan Stone Works, a sort of amateur, semi-professional stone carver, artist, which still feels strange to say. Just kind of bumbling through and seeing how long this lasts at the minute.
Richard's a humble artist, you know, like what we're finding is that creatives are very humble and we play it down a wee bit, but you've brought stuff on the table that would quite contradict what you said there. You know, your stuff's amazing. Before I knew Richard, I actually bought one of these for my cat Picasso's birthday. I got a wee stone paw and it was amazing. I fell in love with it. So I'm blessed that I have one of these works. But how long do one of these take?
It can vary. If we were going to go for something sort of complex like the puffin or the kingfisher, there's obviously time to cut the blank out, shape it, polish it up, and then just like transferring the designs, carving one out, and then the painting afterwards. There's the treating the stone. It's kind of a surprisingly long process, which is something that I hadn't realised until you suddenly get a massive order.
But even, like, I'm going to get up here so you'll not hear me. My voice will go distant, just so the guys that are actually listening to it on the look at that. Look at the detail that goes into that. And then the colour.
Yeah, the colour. The thing was, I'd experimented with sort of single guilds and things, just to kind of, because I'm always sort of experimenting and, you know, you learn the most when you play kind of thing. And I'd experimented with a couple of single colours, and then I thought the kingfisher, it's just not going to do it justice with like one patch of blue or one patch of gold. So I was like, okay, how vivid can I make this with only sort of 4 colours? So it's only using brass, copper, gold, light blue, dark blue, and then there's a bit of black for the detailing, but even in the black it uses the same dark blue. So it's like five-ish colours.
And is that painted on?
Yes, yeah. So there's a base coat, and then what I do is I stipple in sort of alternating gradients between the two. So even though it's limited colours, it's kind of how...
I may be biased, but, you know, as an artist who, like yourself, just discovering myself and bumbling along, like you said, I like that word, that'll be my word of the day. Like, we go along, but how did you learn this? Like, the words you gave me at Christmas, they came for a place of, and I hope you don't mind me saying, came for a place of concern and a place of reconstruction. That's what I heard when you said that to me, which means you have been on your own journey with your creativity.
Yeah, I think it's very easy, especially if people think you're a business or, you know, it's very easy for people to kind of gatekeep knowledge and it's almost like they don't want to give away their secrets, even though there's hundreds of artists doing it. Whereas I'm very much like when I go to markets, I bring a piece of stone and I'm like, here, I'll show you how to do it, because it's fun, you know. But yeah, my journey was kind of starting in construction. Essentially, I fell into construction masonry, and did that for 12 months. And during that sort of period, we got a headstone in. So then I got taught the letter carving, which is the V cut, they call it, because you kind of come in from a corner and cut a V to catch the light. And I really enjoyed that. Like the big construction stuff was too repetitive, but having your nose in your work was.
I think I'd never thought of that actually when you just said that, like headstones. Yeah, I'd never thought of that, like, because I see you working in art, but. Like, obviously, this podcast, we're discovering that creatives, it doesn't just start, like, the product you see today. Yeah. There's been something along that line and how you got there. I don't know why I didn't think of that. Yeah. Like, literally, headstones for the people who are not with us anymore. I don't know why I'd never thought that.
No, that's where the technique started. That was the sort of seed of, I enjoy this particular technique.
So... what did you do before? I'm always interested, like, obviously you said in the building trade, but what I'm finding is, and even with myself, when you tell people, I'm finding that a lot of creatives, 99% of them have done a lot of stuff. And I know there is the ones who went to university and did all that, and they've got that as a job. Totally respect the guys as well. But your journey, where did it start? You know, like, I don't mean, I don't know, like, slow it down, James, it's sunny outside, I'm wearing yellow, I'm all bright, I'm all getting ready for the summer by the looks of it, but if I was to slow it down and, like, obviously the podcast is to showcase people who are magnificent in their trade, but also to show their journey and how they got there. Like, it's up to you how much you say, but how did your journey start? For me, I told you I'm 37. Sorry, I'm not 37, that's a lie. I'm 43 this year. I was 37 when I started this. But every single thing I did led up to this. Working in the bank, selling cars, all the other mad stuff, acting, being things like that, and it all led up to this. Yeah. It's the only way I can describe it. Like, it literally led me up this path.
Because I think a lot of the things that I had done, very similar to you, were tangential, and they had no coalescence, and then till suddenly it all comes together and you're like, all these times I've been compelled to create I've been building up little background skills, or, you know. So the difference between my sort of creative beginning and my career beginning were a solid 25 years of, like, being a child that did Blue Peter projects. Like, a lot of my childhood was sellotape, cardboard. Exactly. Paper mache.
With the fairy liquid tub.
Oh, absolutely. So I was quite lucky because I was really sort of nourished by an artistic parent who was just so keen to try so many different things. But then I never really knew what I wanted to do career-wise. So when the time came, I just kind of stuck to what I knew and what I liked.
Staying in that lane.
Which was coffee, cake, like good coffee, good cake, and just having, like, small talk chats with old people, and just like having a really I was barista for many years.
James is now a detective. I've not done any digging on Richard, so I'm quite happy that I found that one out. So you were a barista for a coffee shop. That again is an art.
It's like, probably.
That's what I'm saying to people. It's like the creative has always been there, but you're setting yourself free by finding something that you can do, and all these other jobs have served their wee purpose to get you there. Like even with the youngsters that we work with, I'm always like, creatives come in all shapes and forms, man. It's like, we've had a previous guest, hairdresser, I call him the singing hairdresser, he's in my phone ass, but you know, like, when you start speaking, and like you say with that comment that you gave me at Christmas, that's discovering that creatives fall under a big window. We've always been creatives, but in different depths, you know, like you're saying about being a barista, which is epic. I couldn't make a coffee. We're putting wee fancy things on it and that stuff. I don't know if the team would be, maybe watch this space, I'm just twinged there.
Yeah, latte art,
well,
2026.
I don't know if we're allowed to say this, but you know, I've just showed you our tea, Jagger 82. We've got a coffee. We're
Oh,
working on, man.
well, there we
Watch
go.
this space. You heard it here first. Heard it here first. And Richard's now under contract under this.
So if I go missing,
He's just working for 6 weeks on my coffee beans. But again, like, it's no coincidence that just when you just said there something and it twigs that you're a barista, and then all of a sudden we're talking it, and I don't mean it to always revert back to us. I'm excited. You know, our motto is inspire to be inspired.
Yeah.
I'm inspired. I was up at 4 o'clock today because I was excited to come in, and the team have told me to talk less, and I struggle with that because see, when you put two creatives in a room, I get excited. I'll never be an artist that's able to do that, but I have been to one of your wee workshops and I enjoyed it, and it's like to bring something into the world that you know gives somebody pleasure.
Well, yeah,
is the hidden goal, is the hidden plus for doing what you do, and it drives you. So aye.
Even in careers, I was just thinking then, I like coffee, I like cake, and I like conversation. They're nourishing roles, and I like providing, whether it's physical nourishment with caffeine and protein, or the sort of spiritual nourishement of seeing people's wishes fulfilled in some way.
Because it's a journey.
Yeah, I find that really rewarding.
It comes to your mind. You use your hands. You're a physical creative, and then watching somebody. I've seen people come in and leave with your stand. I'm like, and Jan will tell you, like, I'm not as confident as everybody makes it. But again, this podcast isn't about me. But I see people physically leaving when you wrap it up and they've got it. And I'm like, Jan, that's somebody's got one of Richard's wee stone. Look at her. But she's like, Christmas and gone away, and whether that's a gift for somebody else or whether that's for her, she's smiling and it brings joy to people. It's like, I mean, even just watching that and being part of that journey, it's instrumental in people's own creative journeys that they hear that stuff. Like you, when you do your stalls there, that's a busy environment, man. I really don't know how you manage to do it, but fair play, man. I always make time to come and see. Busy environment, but I imagine that knowing that somebody's leaving with one of your things, then it makes it that better.
Definitely.
So I'm still wanting to dig a bit deeper into the because everybody knows I always talk about young wee Jim when he was like 6 and 7, doodling on bits of paper. So when you said there about was it your mum that was the creative?
Yeah, she did. She kind of like ran away from home and went to art college, and she was like,
I love that free spirit.
Oh, absolutely, such a uniquely, I don't know, strange person. Well, she wasn't strange, but she just followed. She could not stand not doing her own thing. Yeah.
I just think like you hear folk running away to the circus, but I even more get excited when people run away to art college. That's even better. It's like that gives that a whole new meaning. But again, and I'm one for saying, because the idea of this is to get the people out from behind their couches, I always say, and to say, listen, once upon a time Richard never done that, but what if your mum never took that wee journey?
Yeah.
Then would you be doing what you do? Would it have happened as soon as it happened? Do you know, it's like they're the wonderments of life that the creatives seem to.
Yeah, I don't. Even if I hadn't have done art, like, because we lived like a mile outside of a rural village anyway, so it was literally me and like a set of twins up the road who were the same sort of age. So if I wasn't playing with them, I was like out in the field with a satchel with a little bottle of something, like just total make-believe, gone.
Building dens. And, so that's my childhood as well.
Oh man, it's so good.
Yeah, building dens and hiding for plain sight, but also creating. It's like, I find that, the best childhoods were the ones that were doing that. Yeah. Like gone away, because that is the creative mind, like building something, bringing it into existence. And it's just, I find that the creative minds, especially ones that are manual, like to me that's a manual job, so there's a lot of noise and all the other stuff, but I've seen the inspiring that the kids have become in there, like that one we did in the summer, and I came along, I was like, right Jan, I'm going to go for a wee shot of that, and it's like you're showing them, like I can't explain it. I guess what I'm trying to do, you're talking for you. I will stop talking after this, but when you see them putting the mark coming in to the stone, and then watching their faces, and nobody needs to go up and say, you brought that into the world. Like, you're guiding them and showing them, but to see those, even adults, I've watched them,
Yeah.
and it does sound creepy. I'm not a watcher all the time, but for the moments, man, these are the moments that I really, really love to capture. Like just for my mind and go, how inspirational that is to show people that passing on knowledge.
Yeah.
That was what it was, like ancestral people would have passed on knowledge and knowledge and knowledge. So when you said that comment, that's what it is. It's about giving away freely what was given to you and showing you what can be done and making money out of it as well. Let's not lie here.
Yeah.
Like, there has to be a certain element of making money and expanding and doing stuff. So, I'm still interested. I'm still digging about your past here, but it's
go
like
nuts.
I think just when people watch this or listen to it,
Yeah.
people always wonder, but they'll not have the cojones to come up and say, how did you manage to do that?
Yeah.
It's like literally, what's the blueprints of Richard? How did you manage to get to do that? So we went from barista to now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so the sort of going into the barista, because I had no idea what I would ever focus on fully, because the idea of just committing to one thing, absolutely, it kills my soul. The idea, one thing forever. So all my sort of jobs and things were to fund all my creative stuff, whether it was like buying instruments or new materials to work with or just anything and everything. I'd probably see something on YouTube and go, oh yeah, I want to make a suede teddy. And, find somewhere with scrap. It's all problem solving as well, I think I find.
100%.
But then actually bringing a career into it was the complete fluke of moving to the area and falling into a sort of unofficial apprenticeship with a stonemason, which happened to be sort of majority construction, and then the chance that I was sort of trusted enough to do lettering, so he taught me that, and then I ended up taking a break from it and going back to baristering. And then the other thing was my neighbour was the sort of catalyst, because I was working at the cafe and it had been like a year and I was getting a bit sick of it. It was kind of after the sort of golden period ends and the sort of
honeymoon period.
Exactly. The kind of the niggles come into your mind of like, should I be doing this? Could I be doing? And then my neighbour was like, would you be able to make a little memorial stone for my cat? And I was like, do you know what? I could.
Good for you.
Because when I'd done the carving, I enjoyed it so much at work that I was like, I'm going to buy my own little set of chisels and I'm just going to please myself. Never had time. Too knackered from construction, and then the cafe took over. So then when he was like, could you? I could. And then I spent more time at work, and every time I was at the cafe, I was like, I could be at home carving stone. And when once something's in your mind, I just couldn't let it go. And I was like, nah, I just need to make a move. And because I had a little bit of savings, it was literally just a case of, I'm going to throw a little bit of money into this and just see how long it lasts. And it was...
And like, when I go silent, I am very, very poised in this. So see what I was talking about in the other podcasts? It's risk. There's an element of risk, man, about doing these things, and follow your passion and follow that thing. And, hey, nobody's saying it worked, but I love hearing the risk, man. It's like, you got to take a risk in order to do it. But let's rewind it back a wee bit, that your neighbour with the cat, these things, like I'm universal. Everybody will tell you, like, they things were meant to happen. I do apologise for your wee cat, that, like, these things were meant to happen, and you fell into that. I truly think that everything's all like set out. You just have to take that initial risk and do a jump in.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to hear. Is like, we need to hear the truth. We can't be like sugarcoating it and saying, we just kind of did that. It was like, but no, you need to get into the crux of it and show why. And all I hear there is like the humbleness of being able to do something, like I say, and bringing it into the world is phenomenal. And you don't mind me saying this, Richard, everybody we meet, because the creative circle in this area isn't that big. Well, it is big, but everybody's just there all the time. Yeah. They have nothing but great words to say about you. Oh. So that is an absolute inspiration in itself. And if anybody's watching this and you haven't met Richard, please, when you meet him, you'll understand what we mean about it, man. There's not enough creatives out there that are doing what you do. And it's not just, stonemasonry. It's like, you gain your time up here, you're coming up to a podcast that you didn't even know what you were going to do. It's like, that's important. It's important to me, and it's important that the world knows that stuff, that people are willing to give their time up in order for you guys to hear, because you will eventually hear a story that you will like. If it's no Richard's and it's no mine and it's no the other guys, your story will come. That's the whole point in this, is like, creatives are some of us are born with it, and a lot of us have earned it and made.
Yeah, this is a sort of mild bugbear of mine. And it's probably just like me getting fussy.
This is a safe space here.
Yeah. Like every so often, and I find it with Europeans, like if they get sort of curious about your work, and you're like, oh yeah, you know, if you're chatting online and stuff, you're like, yeah, I kind of do this. A lot of the Europeans will be, oh, you're so skilled. Right. And it's like an appreciation for the time that you've put into it. I find in the UK it's a lot of, oh, you're very talented. Yeah. Like, man, I have chipped so many corners and like ruined so many things.
But you document that as well.
Yeah.
Like, and we'll tag in your Instagram and stuff. But that is, again, I'm not just sitting here blowing smoke up your bum. It's like, I've literally been on your Instagram and seen videos where you've broken something and you've just went on and gone, this is what happened, and this is what happens in this job.
Yeah.
Mistakes are made. Nobody's born and then goes, oh, look, I'm really good at that. It's like, you have to, it's been earned, innit? You have to earn this thing. But you're right with the Europeans, because that day that we met, actually, there was a lot of Europeans there. And I was in the tent doing what we were doing, and they were like, oh, you know, in the stonemason, and he does this, and you know, what a skill. And then they were just opening up about what they were doing back where they're from. And again, it's not a skill level that everybody has, Richard. It's like, art is the only language in the world you don't need to speak. You show it. And then the next minute everybody's, and you had a wee crowd run about. That's the stuff that I see and I notice. But we'll get more into that. I'm still digging in your part. I think,
go for it.
I just think that when there's guys like you, that we need to showcase to the world that it's not just a matter of turning up and chiseling away. Like you've just said there, you chiselled away a lot of stuff. What's the biggest hurdle? Let's just say, as a creative for you, what's your biggest hurdle that, and if it is too much, you don't need to mention these things. No. But I just think that another creative's pain is another creative's band-aid, or sorry, that's American plaster. You know, like, nobody's saying that they don't need to make mistakes, but they certainly need to make them.
Got a good one.
Go.
So I was originally going to say starting a project, but actually through my sort of teens and early 20s, I was very much a perfectionist.
Right.
To a toxic level. So I would get maybe a third of a way or halfway into a project, and suddenly it wouldn't be how I imagined it. And I would that project would end, and then I'd start something else. So I never actually finished anything. It was only once I started going, we'll see it through. Yeah. And then and 9 times out of 10, even if in the moment you're like, oh, I hate this, you might look back on it in like 6 months and go, do you know what? That was actually pretty good. Yeah, that's it. So like, forest for the trees on what you're learning, and it all comes in handy later on as well.
And that's another thing that is like, I think, I have to say real artists, because I do class myself as an artist now. It's a hard thing for me to get over, but artists tend to be hard on themselves. Like, it's called the ugly period, with the paintings and creatives and whatever. And I've been in, I was there yesterday, hence why I didn't finish the painting that I was supposed to be painting. But that is the ugly period. But you know, once you've done it, I don't know if you're like myself, you got stuff in a box where you'll bring it out 2 years later and people will be like, oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. And then you're like, where were you 2 years ago? But to understand that the work, you weren't ready to receive the gratitude that it was deserving. Yeah. At that time, you know, it had to wait that incubation period to understand that, like, I'm all for shortcuts only there. You don't take shortcuts because you'll not get to your destination. Yeah. It takes that length of time because it needs to.
Yeah. I think, I mean, I still have sketchbooks from when I was early 20s.
Excellent. And I'll say keep everything. Keep everything, dump in it.
Every now and then I'll have a flick through and I'll be like, do you know what? It's fun. Whatever I was doing was the majority of the thing, even the music as well. I'll go back and I'll listen to what I recorded and I'm like, do you know what? It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
Like it's a fun, and that's what I find. I find you learn the most, and you kind of experiment the most, and gain these things when you're at play.
Exactly.
Like,
and it's like I can tell it's not a job for you. It's like
I hate money. Genuinely.
It's like if you're working, like some folk will get it, some folk will know. If you're working for money, it's harder than it is if you're just doing what you're doing, because then you enjoy it. You enjoy the process. And it's like that's what I always say to our students is like, you need to enjoy the process. Don't rush, man. Says somebody with ADHD that's trying to turn out things, but on your own terms, man. It's like, that's one thing that I think is universal in the creative world, that we're always dead hard on ourselves because we start to think for other people. They'll not like that, and you're like, it doesn't have a face. The people don't have a face. It's just like, oh, they'll not like that, and then you're like, but finish it. Because it doesn't matter about them, because there's somebody else coming along, and it's
I think that's an interesting point on sort of being able to, because you enjoy it, it's hard to value your time monetarily. But then if things start picking up, you're undercutting yourself, and suddenly it does become a career or a job, and you're like, oh, I need to figure out the sort of financial side.
And then you need to be careful of the ego, because sometimes sometimes a lot of the time with money, the ego starts stepping in, and you start forgetting the process that you've just mentioned there. The process is enjoying it. It's the fact that you've earned all this. But if it starts like getting, yes, everybody needs money to make the world go round. Look, we don't make a lot of money, but what we do is the knowledge. So that's why when you said that, that's priceless to me. I'll take this for the rest of my life. And we've spoken nothing more about it. It's like, right, Jan, this is what's happening. This I only told the guys today because I wanted them to be just like, these are the type of creatives that the world needs to have in it. By going, the knowledge is shared. Picture it like we're on a fire. We're all on a fire and we're sharing the knowledge.
Yeah, exactly.
Not that I'm saying I would go back to that time, I like my comforts now, but that's what it's like. I want to go back to things, if I can remember the second one, we'll go for it. But you said music, so music creative as well.
Yeah, kind of. So I have this thing where I get interested and I just go in neck deep. Like I get very bored by the basics, and like I was terrible in school because it'd start off so basic that I would just lose interest. And by the time my eyes have finished glazing over, we're deep into something. I'm like, okay, now is my time. I'll reverse engineer it from here. Yeah. Probably never understand it properly, but I find it much more.
It's weird, that analogy you've just brung out there, because, sorry to cut you off. Like,
No.
I did read something the other day, and it was like, you get all different types of people. You get the guy that will go in and plan it, and he'll take 6 weeks, and he'll plan it, and he'll do this, and he'll do that. And nobody's saying that's not a bad job. And then you get the creative that will just go in and go,
give me a hammer.
And by himself, he's like, right, do, and then it's appeared, and folk are like, what? How did we not just ask him in the first place? And you're like, again, it takes that long because it needs to, but it's like, that's the world, man, that need to see that the creatives just, we don't really, well, sometimes we do, but we work with what we've got. We're not, sorry for the English part of the side, we work with what we've got, not what we've not got, and that's a belt of a statement, man. It's like, you just go in and the creatives do what they do. It's mental to think that there's always been folk like there's always been creatives there, but we've only started to see it when we believed in ourselves. That belief is so important, man. That belief, it's like I always say to folk, just because you start seeing the Jaguar 82 stuff on the table, it's not about me. This is about everybody in the entire world of creation. Creation. We'll go with that. The entire world of creation to show what it is they can bring to the table. So have you written stuff like music-wise?
Yeah, I've written a few songs and stuff, but the thing was I enjoyed music so much that I was like, I can't play anything. And it seems a shame that, I so overwhelmingly connect with something, but have no way to replicate it, even just for myself. So I think it was my stepbrother at the time, he came home with a little electric ukulele.
Excellent.
And I was walking past the shop one day and I seen the gap where his was. And then underneath was the little like acoustic brother version. And I'm impulsive like that. So I was like,
oh, I know.
Do you know what? I'm just going to get it.
Good for you.
Picked it up maybe 3 or 4 times in the first sort of 3 months that I had it. it never made the sound like it did. No, honestly, it never made the sound like it did on the YouTube video. I was terrified to even, like, it didn't feel right in the hands. There was, like, every time I picked it up, it was the most horrible experience. Well, not the most horrible experience, like, because I was compelled to try, but the results were awful. But then it's only once you start, the more you pick it up, the more comfortable it feels. The more you repeat something, the cleaner it sounds. And like, once I'd got sort of relatively competent, as in like, I know 4 chords and can play them cleanly, I then got into, well, now I can kind of make music, but I don't know how to set it permanently. So I'll find out, like, research a bit of recording and stuff, and started recording on my phone and like a little multi-tracker things. And then that leads into software, and then you're like, okay, now I can record it. I can play the instrument, but I have no idea how they're made. So you start like building instruments. That's like it's.
But again, it's like, and I keep going back to it. It's like, the fact is, you're trying it, and you know you're pushing past that fear. Creatives are fear, man. They're scared. They're scared to do something, and then when you do pick it up, because you'll try a million things, and then you'll be like, I'm quite good at that one.
Yeah.
There we go. We've just answered something that I asked at the beginning. I think that it's like, how does a creative become a creative? You try stuff.
Yeah.
You put yourself into it, you know, like, it's one of the things that unless you do it, I mean, I'm now that adult that's sitting saying stuff like this on a camera. I'm like, what happened, man? What happened to you? It's like, I tried a whole load of stuff, which is going to bring me on to my next thing. So you mentioned YouTube. Now, I'm also a self-taught YouTube artist to a certain extent. I had nobody round about me when I started this. Again, it's not about me, but that's a great, like, because watching, creatives like to watch. Like, school wasn't a great time for me, but I like watching things and seeing how it comes together, and then making my mistakes and then doing it. Like, thousands of paintings I've done, and some of them are mistakes.
Yeah.
But somebody bought them. But being able to, how can I say it? Was it for you, like, being able to learn on your own terms?
Yeah, definitely.
You're the master of the remote. Just pause it, do it. I mean, I've spilt loads of stuff by pausing and then knocking the paint thing over, and I'm like, but I never once moaned about it. It was like, it was learning on my own terms on a basis that has always, well, for some of you youngsters, YouTube's always been there. I remember when it was there. But for that, man, it's like, to hear you saying that, because I just assume, like everybody else, like, oh, he's learned it and then he's did it. But to hear other folks saying, oh, you go on YouTube and you can learn, that's the knowledge, man.
Yeah.
Hit that button and go in there and just put in what you want to see. It's as easy as that.
It's the great equalizer, YouTube. Like, I've swapped the brake discs on my car for like a 10-year-old.
I'm not advising that, but
no.
I would
under supervision of other mechanics, but it was the case that I could use their things and then consult them if something wasn't really working. 9 times out of 10, if it's not working, you have to just hit it harder with a hammer. But yeah, so it's just the most niche.
Even that, man, going to fit in your brakes. That's unreal. But again, I'm saying there, don't advise it. I've been on YouTube to try and, well, mine's didn't work, but to try and fix stuff. So I take my words back. Like, I always try and correct myself when I've made. To actually go on YouTube and then change your own brakes, again, that's just the barrier, isn't it? That we just assume, because like literally I was shutting it down there. There's a perfect example. We're just assuming that it's hard today because we want somebody else to do it. It costs money.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. That's the monetary side of things. Even building instruments. Like, I built obviously a few for fun, but then I'd see a video on YouTube of like an erhu, which is a Chinese fiddle with snake skin.
Wow.
You look them up, they're about $5,000. You're like, okay, I'm going to build one with electric guitar strings, frets, and just like Blue Peter it yourself.
That's unreal. We need to introduce you to Ian.
Yeah.
Ian's Jan's husband and our top artist. And he makes guitars.
Oh, mate.
He has about 50 to 100 in his house. His whole garage. Aye, we're definitely going to hook you two up together, man. He is all about building stuff. And again, it's like that whole what you've just rhymed off there. I now need to eat my own words and say, would I be able to do that? I don't know, but I'd certainly get a bash.
Yeah, well, me neither when I started.
It's the fear though. It's like you're just freely getting that and saying, I just went on and, there was a guitar there and it was a violin for £5,000. I just went and I went on and make mine. So that does default like me. I'm like, wow,
I mean, it barely functions, but it functions far better than no.
But you can look at that, like you can look at that and go, that didn't exist until I brought it into the world.
Yeah.
Whether it functions or not, that's irrelevant. It's obviously it's your thing to bring in and do that.
Yeah.
And that's maybe we can get it to function with Ian.
Yeah, I mean it works okay.
Because Ian bought me a violin for my Christmas.
Oh, nice.
I painted it.
I think I've seen that. Yeah.
Aye. So I'm always going off in side missions there, but fair play, man. It's like I keep saying, this podcast is exactly for that. People don't know that they can go on and they can learn stuff on the YouTube. Let's face it, man. It's a privileged world we live in to a certain extent. We're filming this on a phone. The phone is there. So anybody who's thinking, no bother, go and make a Chinese violin.
Yeah.
Here's a challenge for you. Get yourself on there, Blue Peter style, and get yourself a wee violin made.
Yeah.
Richard's done it, and then we'll have a violin off.
And the thing is, if it comes out rubbish, this was after I got over the perfectionism kind of thing. If it comes out rubbish, when was the last time you built a Chinese violin?
Exactly.
Like, it's literally your first.
It didn't exist. It's like, do you think these people, I don't know any violinist. Oh, well, maybe a day. Nicola Bendetti, if she was making a violin, do you think she would just make it and go, it works.
One and done.
That's what I'm saying. It's the whole, like, this is the product. This is Richard's product of being able to make something when he never used to be able to make it. That's the whole point in this.
Yeah.
And like I say, your videos are getting better and better because I'm a mad Instagram and I'm just going through them and I see your videos and I think you used laser stuff the last time.
Oh God,
yeah. And I'm like, this is epic. But like I need to be kept engaged. So it's like that's engaging me into the watching your stuff. So it's working. And I've only been doing this for 5 years, but I see progression. So I see it in a quick thing. Whereas you probably don't because you're not seeing it through my eyes. Like I'm seeing your progression being constant, and then having like maybe 10 hangs at the Christmas. What do you call it? Cracker.
Yeah, Christmas cracker.
But then you've got loads of stuff on your table because I see you carting it in with your wee trolley, and it's like that's the progression. That's what happens when you just take that risk.
Yeah.
It's epic. I'm glad you mentioned YouTube. YouTube's a massive factor I'm finding in creatives, especially creatives over the 2000. Like I'm 1982, but I'm tail endy YouTube, and I'm finding that a lot of them are self-taught through that.
Yeah.
And it's sort of, like I say, the people who got university and go to school, that's great as well, man. But listen, we're not knocking anybody. Creatives are creative. It just falls under this big, huge window, and they will always come back to taking risk.
Yeah.
You need to take a risk or it won't work. The risk factor is what's added in. Any business will tell you that. But here's the other part. How long have you been doing this now, Richard?
Just coming up on 3 years, I think.
See, you have to stick it out. You have to stick out. Look what Richard's created, and he said just 3 years. I think I did as well, didn't I? Just 5.
Yeah.
That's how this is the humbleness of going, because we don't see what other people see. But it's like that's what you can create in 3 years. Imagine where Richard will be in 5 years' time.
Yeah,
it's like the progression.
It never comes out fully formed. It's all well and good meeting someone 3 years, 5 years, and we probably say just because we're learning so much every day. You're like, I've only had 3 years at this. But yeah, if you could see the sort of beginnings of things and how the progression goes.
Because I do think that people, like I'm nodding my head because I just do think people just assume that, listen, ta-da!
Yeah, it came out, yeah, exactly. The steam under the thing.
You blanket out. But it's like, that's the whole point in this. So I did see, and I haven't been on Instagram because I don't want to snoop on interviewees' pages before they come. I like it to be natural, and like I say, I got nothing but kudos and respect for you and your talent and what you do and what you do for the community. Let's not forget all the stuff that you do. I've seen you at gigs, I've seen you doing stuff, I've seen you do, now we loosely say this word, the free stuff, which is great because you're giving away that knowledge. You're giving away the knowledge to people who, so a wee Richard out there wouldn't know that you need to buy all these tools in order to do that. And it's like you're just inspiring the people. but somewhere along the line, somebody's seen that you have a skill level that they deem fit for TV. If you're all right,
Apparently so.
let's hear all about it, because, like I said, I deliberately stepped off it because it's your story. It's not mine to tell, and that's for a creative like myself. You're leading for the front and setting the bar for people to come behind you and go, oh, how did Richard do that?
Aye, so it was a sort of freak chance thing. So
Universal. The universe.
do you know what?
On you.
I have the best luck when I follow my gut.
Brilliant.
Like I always seem to find that I'm in the right place at the right time. And I feel like if you're not following something that you are passionate about, then you're never in the right place to have doors open at that.
Yeah. 100%. I know exactly how it is. Yeah.
So the TV thing, I think I was about a year in, or a year and a half in, and I got a sort of a random message on Instagram saying, "Hey, I'm a sort of, I don't know if they call it a recruiter or something like that, but producer, yeah, I guess." And he was like, "Oh, we've got series 3 of Make It Up Market coming up, and I feel like you should apply if you're interested. You know, here's some of the details of the link that you should go to." And I'd spoken to a previous stone carver who'd been on there before, and that was when I'd first started as well. Because he was really lovely. He was like, "Oh, he must have seen me a few months in," and he was like, "Come up to my workshop if you want to see a working workshop." I'm like, "Hell yeah!" Like that's exactly how I fell into masonry at the first place. Anyway, so it was a message I received, and then thought, I'll probably never do this, and completely forgot about it. Aye, well, I'd remembered when I was speaking to Luke. Can I say it? Can I?
Aye,
yeah, Luke Batchelor. He was on.
Plug him, man.
Yeah.
Man, plugged. Where's his stuff?
I can't remember what series he's on, but again, really lovely to have someone welcome you into their workspace and just kind of. I think we chatted for a couple hours, but we were talking about the TV thing, and because I had no idea he'd been on TV until he mentioned it, and I was like, I don't think I could ever do that. Like it seems like such a strange environment for me. Like I just don't think it would fit my personality.
Like daunting with the camera.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and I don't know, maybe it's a self-conscious thing, but you're like, I just don't think I'm not BBC One material. So yeah, whatever, year later, I got a message, forgot about it, and then I was at a market one day, and it was a quiet day. I thought, you know what, I'll look it up.
Yeah.
So I sent a little email off. I was like, "Hey, Will's been in touch, the person who did it. When does this close? Like the application process?" Email half an hour later. Tonight, midnight tonight. I was like, "Oh, okay." So I'm like packing my stuff up like crazy. And I emailed basically saying, "Hey, this is my Raiders of the Lost Ark grabbing the hat before the door closes. Epic. Here's my application." And because it was so late, everything moved really quickly from there. It was like one day later it was a phone interview, 2 days later it was a video interview, and then they start sending the paperwork, and it's like, you're just like, oh my God. This
fast tracking, man.
Yeah, exactly. It was kind of a wild.
TV's a fast game, like.
Yeah.
And like you say, with the cameras and stuff running about you, but aye. And then what channel was it on? Let's get it plugged.
BBC One.
Because we're watching it tonight.
Yeah.
I've deliberately left it so we can watch it with the team. BBC One, so what was the programme?
It's called Make It Up Market.
Make It Up Market.
So they take sort of amateur or semi-professional artisans or crafters, and they give them a mentor, because they obviously see what kind of work you're doing and things like that, and then what they do is they give you a professional view on how to improve your business or things you could change, or it's a really like it's a sharing of the knowledge. It's
100%. That's what people need to see.
Yeah, and sometimes it'll be a technique thing or a new material or stuff. Whereas I'd said to them from the beginning, I really need help with the business side of things.
Yeah,
like I feel quite comfortable in the sort of direction I'm going in, but the sort of background questions, I don't really have. And they had some. It was Louis Francis. Was my mentor, and he was fantastic. Any little question, even like even nowadays, long after the show is done, it's like, I'm having trouble with this, and he's like, "Oh, you should try that." Just it's so good.
And that's what it is. It's like I call that Big Brother syndrome. I don't mean that with the cameras. Forget about the cameras. I mean having a big brother there and to show you stuff. Like like I keep saying, I'm not harping on it, but like the back in the days of when people would share the knowledge.
Yeah.
You know, you have a mentor there. Forget about the TV thing, but to have a mentor there that is just that wee bit further along than you.
Yeah.
Like I imagine if somebody reached out to me, I could reach out to you and say, you know, Richard, somebody's reached out, they want to know how to do that, we like to do, let's get the ball rolling. And that's what it is. It's like you've been, and Richard, you're a humble guy, but I'm going to tell you this, you know, you deserve that. You deserve that opportunity because of what you do. You deserve everything that's coming to you. And I can't, is it confess? Is that the word?
Don't know.
Confess? Anyway, that's the word today. Enough that you are so humble in your profession and what you do, that no many people can carry that, but you will be carried with that. That's what it is, man. It's like put it this way, you can go to any stall and see people doing something, no the same, but similar, and they will come to you because of how you conduct your manner. And I get that when you're saying about the other side of the business, which we'll touch on if you're all right with that.
Yeah, of course.
Like, you know, like that's the bit that people struggle with, and that's the bit that puts creatives off. But like, there's a guy who's humble enough to come on a show who he didn't know anything about, share all his knowledge, and then openly say, you know, now I've done that show and I've got somebody who I can speak to. That's more important to him than the actual, well, no, it's better not say that in case anyone for the show watched, than the show itself. What does that tell you, you know? If that doesn't tell you that the creative journey, it starts somewhere, but it never ends, man. And stay humble, because like I say to everybody, you climb up that ladder, you better know everybody, so and shake their hands on the way up. Because on the way back down, man, you need to meet them again. Because you day come down. That's the whole point, man. It is. It's an interesting journey you've been on, Richard.
Yeah, I think also it's really hard to ask for help, especially with someone who you feel is established. Because this was one of the things with the mentor when you first, and they're like, "Have you got any questions?" You're like,
no. Don't want to say anything. Don't want to be the first.
And then the more you chat and the more you sort of break down, they are not an established brand and a thing and they're literally just a person who's still learning and still experimenting and they're like, do this. So asking for help is really hard for me, because I feel like I'm bothering them. Like, I'm just hitting rocks. Why would you want questions about postage? And it's like, no, because I had no idea when I first.
Listen, I'm going to say it all the way through the interview, but I'm the same as like, struggle to price stuff. I overprice, I underprice. I'm like, I struggle to ask MD for help. But I mean this, like I'll even say it on camera, like any help that any of the team can be, you just reach out. You know that's how we operate. That's how we work. You know, it's like one person may just be that tiny bit in front of you. Yeah. Other people see it as like, oh, look at them, they're showing up. It's nothing to do with that. It's all about the knowledge. It's all about being able to share it and go, I don't know. That's another thing. Like when I was younger, I would try and blag it, and I'm like, you don't know what you did. Yeah. If you don't know, you don't know, man. Don't blag it, because you're just shooting away a good contact there. Yes. And I'll not go into my tree analogy, but I'll tell you off the camera. I've said that a few times in the podcast. But it's like, it's phenomenal. Like you said on the other side, like we know ourselves. The businesses can't sustain without money. So we depend on money in order to keep us going. We as a company have not had an awful lot of funding. I think we've had 1 in 5 years. So it's like stuff like that, and then accounts and the business side, that's the bit that people want to hear as well. Like I openly tell people about us, like it was a struggle right at the beginning and doing accounts and stuff. So is that the bit you meant when you were saying about the other side of the business?
Yeah, the sort of nitty-gritty, less glamorous side. Because one of the things, these are the sort of amended style of pieces since being on the show, because they'll give you sort of challenges in terms of, I think mine was a house number, and it had to be a 2-digit house number. incorporating my artwork under 2 kilograms and less than 30 mil thick. So you get that and you're like, why?
Wow. Aye.
And then, but then when it comes to the date and you're like, it's because if it's under 2 kilograms and under a specific size, it halves the postage. So if you're sending out tens of these things, I was like, oh, that's genius. Like, because
you're right.
The creative compulsion just to make, I hadn't even considered, posting once it becomes a thing.
Like, would MD know that? No, if you're not going to go, if you've not tried it, you wouldn't know it. There's another Easter egg Richards gave, and it's the same as in the art world.
Yeah.
You have the whole postage and putting things, and I get paranoid, Richard. I'll be honest. Like I say, it's not about us, but like sending stuff, I'm like, next day delivery, it must be
tracked
£20 odd, and you're like, sending something first class and it gets there at the same time, and you're like, hold on a minute there, that was like £15.90 I didn't need to spend, but it's back to the mistakes, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're not necessarily mistakes, it's like you have to just make them in order to find out. And then I'm glad, I'm going to backtrack here, I'm glad you said that you don't throw anything out and like back in your 20s, because that's where the ideas, I know I'm bouncing here, but that's where the ideas start, is like what once was a dream is now reality.
Yeah.
And that's important that you guys hear this and see it as like, this was a dream and the guy's living a dream and a passion. And when you combine two of them, it's like, and I get, yes, money is important, but another fellow man or another fellow creative who's just openly said, money doesn't fuel me, that intrigues me, and that also like gets me going, because it's like, aye man, if you're just doing this for money, are you really doing it for the passion? That's the thing. And I get it, people need to make money in order to survive, but at the same time, man, would you rather survive or thrive?
I've had a life of survival. so
thriving is like the energy.
Yeah, I think it's just complicates.
And I think as well is like when you're coming round and you're doing these, and Richard's not once made this sound like hard work, but it is hard work. You've got all the things you go and do. You've got the tools. You've got all the other bits. You've got the money you need to go and put out. He took a risk with his savings.
Yeah.
Then you've got to buy it, and then it comes in if it's the wrong stuff, the wrong sizes. Then he's got his postage is doubled because it's the wrong sizes. Can I imagine he'll not send it back? And it's like all the things, man.
Even stocking up on things like stone, because they give you sort of try a different material, blah blah blah, and then delivery cost is so high, it's like an £80 flat rate for a stone delivered. So you're like, I'm gonna have to buy a decent amount to make it worth my. So you spend like 400 quid on stone, and you make 3 pieces out of it, and you're like, what have I done?
But it's the risk, and I bet you sold them.
I mean, the way I look at it now is it's an investment in the future, because stone never goes off. It hurts in the moment, and you're like, why have I done this?
There's a word that we've not heard a lot. There's another word, investing.
Yeah.
An investment in yourself as well.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of creatives struggle to see that, because the world just associates it with the money factor in it. It's like I use the same paintbrushes for the last 5 years, and it's like, buy paintbrushes, they're not expensive. But it's like, the belief in yourself, it's back to the belief. Once you believe in yourself and able to do all these things, then you branch and you put the money in and you do that. But fair play, man. Richard, it's been amazing talking to you, and I really, really, really mean this when I say like when I think of creatives, you're one of the creatives that I 100% think of, man. And so it's an honour to have you on the show. It's a pilot, and who else better than to have other creatives on here who are all still on their journey, and they're still doing what they do, but they're happy to share it. Listen, guys, if I can say anything to you today is, please just share your knowledge. It doesn't matter how far you go, how far you are on your journey. Please share it. There's some other person who wants to be like you. So please just find whatever you need to do in order to share it. We're blessed that we're able to use the podcast suite and stuff here at the South of Scotland Enterprises. There's other things out there for people, so just try it is what I'm trying to say. Just try it. So this wee bit I'm going to ask if you can tell everybody where you are. Do you have a TikTok? I know you've got Instagram.
Aye, so I've got an Instagram and I've got a Facebook page and a website, but everything's kind of locked down at the minute. So it's R.Swan, as in like Richard Swan, R.Swan Stoneworks.
We'll put a wee plug in the feed and plug it as well. Do you have a TikTok?
No.
We'll work on that. See, again, creatives who are just that wee bit further along. TikTok and all the other stuff, like social media, I'm like, because I just constantly blast everything because I'm like, bing, bing, and I probably lost followers by doing that. That's just who I am, and that's my creative journey. So like social media has not gone away. But hey, I'm going to ask a question that I forgot. How much does a starter pack of tools make? What was your first starter pack? I'm interested in how much a business started with. Yours was £4.80.
What's it?
Aye.
Right, so I'm pretty sure you can get a couple of size chisels, a mallet, and a sharpening block. I think there's one between sort of 60 and 70 pounds, and I think that comes with a block of stone as well. But the chisels will last you, unless you're carving like me, in which case they sort of last you 6 months before you're
can you get them sharpened?
chewed through. Yeah, you just sharpen it with a little diamond block.
By yourself?
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah.
that's an investment.
Yeah.
That is an investment. I never knew that you sharpened yourself. I thought you just...
No.
See, that's the lazy artist approach. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to me. Aye, once they're done, you just buy new ones.
Yeah.
No, you can reuse them. There's lots of stuff out there you can reuse. Brilliant.
It's easy enough.
Excellent. And I can't express enough, Richard. You gave us a gift, and I'm going to sound like I'm harping on, but these are the important things to me, just as your journey. So, like I say, guys, Imagination Station. Imagination is all you need to bring to the table. A station is somewhere where you go and you go for another destination on that. And then network. You're now part of your network, Richard, and it's a pleasure to have you on it. So thank you very much for the interview.
Thank you so much.
Thanks everybody for listening, and please do follow us on the usual. We are on TikTok, and it's just Jagar82 across the lot. But if you're going to... Sorry, that's a lie. It's not. It's Imagination Station Network for YouTube. And this will also be on Spotify, Imagination Station Network. But you'll find all the other stuff on Jagar82 on everywhere. Thanks very much, but I'm leaving you with these parting words. Don't forget to take a wee bit of a risk now and again. Richard has proven that. Take a wee bit of a risk and believe in yourself. And the most important one, don't forget to give a wee bit of your knowledge away. We're not asking you to give it all away. Somebody's out there that wants to do what you do. So please, just give them a wee bit of knowledge. All right. Thanks, Richard.
Start that weird project. Finish that weird project.
Exactly. And creatives are a wee bit weird. And we're all right with that. We're all right with that. Thanks very much, Richard.
Thank you.
And then do we just hit the button?